Welcome to County Talk, where we tackle the boring but important things that happen in county government. This is the show where we actually tackle the nitty-gritty of what goes on in county government. Most people don't realize all that we do here. And so today we're going to dive into some of the things that maybe you know about, but maybe you don't know all about it. So I'm Sue Hansen. I'm one of your 3 elected commissioners, and we're here to talk a little bit about the Fair Board. We're here with Chad Dunlap, who is the president for the Fair Board here this year. And but we're going to start by talking a little bit about the broader, the boards that the county has. Most people don't know that we have probably 20 different boards that we either appoint or serve on throughout the county and throughout the community. So, it really opens up the opportunity for people to get really engaged in county government. People, when you ask people what they want to do in their spare time, nobody ever says, well, I just want to see what I can learn more about county government. So, which is why we're doing this show, so that people can understand a little bit more about what we do. So we have boards because, there's statutory things that the county has to do. We have an airport advisory board. We appoint people for the Southwest River District Board, the Southwest Basin, also the Gunnison Basin. And you're serving on the Fair Board, and so you know a little bit about, county government, and I think you know even a little bit more about county government than normal. But let's talk a little bit about the Fair Board. There's 5 members on the Fair Board now, or 7?
There's 7 currently, and we can have up to 9.
Okay.
So there's currently 2 vacancies.
Okay. So, as I serve on and go to some of these board meetings where maybe I'm not sitting on the board, but I'm kind of observing and helping as a county commissioner, the Fair Board always impressed me that it's probably the biggest lift. Planning Commission is also a board there's a big lift, late nights, that kind of thing. People want to talk about gravel. But the Fair Board always has a dedicated group of people that really dive in on county government. So can you explain a little bit about what the needs are and the requirements on the Fair Board for folks are?
Sure. I think first off, just to clear the air, I think people tend to think a Fair Board member has to have this huge background in agriculture, and that's certainly not the case. As a board, we embrace varying backgrounds only because it puts more people at the table and brings in new ideas. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that I'd like to clear up first off. But tons of planning and organization. That's the biggest lift for the Fair Board. And the fair is one event 8 days out of the year, and all the Fair Board meetings leading up to it, that's what we're doing, is planning and organizing for the fair and rodeo. So
it seemed to me when I attended the meetings that as soon as the fair is over, I mean, maybe you have a couple of minutes to rest, and then you start the next planning phase for the next year's fair. I don't think people realize how big a task that is. It's a big event. It's a week plus long, and then you start in February with the beef weigh-ins and some of those kinds of tasks that have to be done ahead of time. I'd like to think about our discussion here today, thinking about new residents, because I think that a lot of folks that have moved here, they don't really know that there's a fair, and it would be nice to include everybody in it. It's an opportunity for everybody to get involved, whether you're a board member or not, but at least come to the fair, participate in some of the open show kind of things. So I'd really like to drill it down to that sort of easy level so people could digest it. Because when I first got here, it didn't feel like I could really be involved. Wasn't an agricultural person. I didn't raise animals. I don't have any cows. So I think it'd really be nice to help people understand what all is available there at the fair for them to do. So let's start, and because we're going to get into a lot of that, but I want to talk a little bit about why you are, because you're the president of the board, and that's a big task to be the leader. Why, a little bit about you, and then why you wanted to do that in the first place.
Sure. I grew up here in Montrose, and I was very active in 4-H and FFA growing up as a youth. And when I moved away for some time in my adulthood, and when I moved back, community involvement is something that's very important to me. And I was looking for ways that I could give back to my community, and saw the advertisement for Fair Board, and I thought that was a great opportunity for me to give back to my community and serve in a role that somebody served in that made all those 4-H activities when I was a kid possible. So it was a way for me to give back to the community.
Well, so my non-agricultural understanding, though, is that the fair really is to highlight 4-H. It's really about the kids, right? I mean, there's a lot
Absolutely.
of adult activities too, but the focus is, well, go back to those cute little kids. Well, they're not all super little, but to really highlight their hard work. So you were a 4-H kid. Did you start as a clover bud?
Well, it wasn't called Clover Buds back then. It was called Mini 4-H.
Mini
But yeah,
4-H.
that's what I started in.
Okay, so you were just a wee one when you
I
started
was.
in. What was your project?
I started out with rabbits, actually.
Something easy to handle, or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Being a small kid, obviously you can't manhandle a steer, and even a sheep is challenging when you're small. So you just look for one of those smaller projects that's a little more manageable.
Yeah. I noticed that a couple of kids get tossed around. That the cows kind of run into them, and they're off.
Always seems to be one or two rodeos.
So you started off with a rabbit, and then tell me a little bit about the time required. I mean, maybe a rabbit does it take less time to prepare a rabbit for the fair, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think you can put as much time into it as you want. I mean, you can go over the top or put in the bare minimum, but the idea behind it is that you're caring for an animal and you're providing that animal the time and resources that it needs to flourish, so you can take it to a show and make it shine. So.
Even like putting hairspray on. Did you have to put hairspray on the rabbit? Or anything?
Actually, oddly enough, it was Listerine and water
Really?
mixed. Yeah, I
wonder-
never understood the premise behind it.
Well, you
but
don't want a rabbit with bad breath.
That's
Maybe that's it.
right.
You want it to smell nice. Yes, I've always been impressed with how the 4-H kids are devoted, and then they become very connected to their animal, and the pride that you see when they show their animal
Absolutely.
is really, really cool. Also, I've noticed, and I said this on the ag, because it's Ag Week, and we were talking about agriculture, but notice that the kids that go through 4-H seem to have a lot of deep respect for folks they work with. They're very polite. They see, and that the cattle women just served at the FFA lunch dinner the other night, just to see those kids really working hard. They were there early to rehearse, and so the whole ag thing is something I'd hate for Montrose County to move out of. I just love that whole environment. So you chose to serve because you wanted to serve your community. How difficult is it to get, or challenging to get fair board members who really want to, dig in and be a part of the fair?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on timing. I mean, there's been times that people are knocking down our door to get on the board, and there's times like we're kind of experiencing now. We're not getting a whole lot of applicants for those vacancies. So it just kind of depends. But all in all, I wouldn't say it's hard, but we definitely want the right fit for those positions. Somebody who's passionate about the first and foremost our youth, and passionate about our community. Like-minded people that put those things at the forefront, and those things being youth and community.
Yeah, the fair, has always been a central part of the community, even if people weren't fully aware of it. And as more and more people move in from areas where maybe they didn't access a fair, we want to make sure that they know they're welcome. So right now we have 2 fair board openings. It would be nice if somebody who's listening to this thought, hey, that might be something that would be right up my alley. And even if they don't have the expertise, as you indicated, there's lots of things that fair board members have to do. It's organizational, so if people have great skills in that area, it would be really a benefit for the fair board.
Yeah, and even the 7 members that are currently on the fair board, like, we all come from diverse backgrounds. Like, everybody's not about ag and they're not from ag, but they're passionate about youth and community, and and they want to be involved. So that's probably most important to stress, like, we don't expect you to be a subject matter expert in agriculture.
Yeah.
Like, come with your passion and your ideas, and let's get to work. Let's plan a fair.
Let's get to work. I like that. And, one of my favorite parts of the fair is the open show. And I think that's an area where people who are not necessarily agriculturally aware or adept can get involved. So the open show is a good way. Can you talk a little bit about what the open show is and how people might access that?
Sure. Like, the way I look at it is most people have a craft, whatever that is. If you're into making jams and jellies, or if you're into making intricate quilts or putting together Lego projects, it's all encompassing. So it's all those art things and woodworking and beer crafting and all those little projects that people take on. The open show is an opportunity for them to bring those projects to the fair, have it displayed and judged, and perhaps win a ribbon and show it off for the community to see.
Yeah. Actually, I think that last year I chose one of the young children because, again, you want to make sure that kids are motivated to participate. And I found a really cute chicken that I awarded. I got to do a commissioner award, so it was really fun. I felt really proud to do that. So. But jams, I think that probably, since I can't get mine to ever set, so if there's anybody with any hot tips, I'll take that. But jams, flowers, herbs. Last year there was quite a quilt show. I think there were 60+ quilts that were displayed.
Yeah, and it sounds like the quilt thing is going to be just as big, or if not bigger, this year. There's the past few years there's been a huge turnaround in the number of quilts we have. So those are prominently displayed, and people are very proud of their work. And we encourage, if quilts are your thing, come on down to the fair and check those projects out and see what people have put together.
There's almost. I mean, I downloaded the fair book, and it kind of shows what's available for the open show. And I just want to encourage people that may not know to check it out. I mean, download it off the website at the fair board at montrosecounty.net, and you can check out what kinds of things you can get involved in. And you're right. Almost any hobby, almost any interest can be applied into the open show.
Yeah, pretty much sky's the limit.
Yeah.
If it's a craft, it's pretty much in there and available to be entered into the
Well, I'll tell you that
show.
the Lego seems to be unbelievably popular, and we have some pretty elaborate Lego artists in Montrose County.
I was never one of those.
You weren't?
No, I didn't have much of an imagination. So bless those people that can put those things together.
No kidding. Well, I was more in the Lincoln Log era, that erector sets and that sort of thing. So we didn't have those bright colors. But yeah, it is. The fair is just a real fun place to be. That week is always busy. There's always something going on. And for anybody who just wants to see and learn more about our community, I think it's a really good place to kind of hang out.
It's great. And our goal is to make it diverse. Like I said, ag may not be your thing, but if you check out our schedule, it's a live document. So as changes are made or whatever, if you look at the schedule for the fair and rodeo, I pretty much guarantee you, if ag's not your thing, throughout the week of fair, there's probably something that is. So check that out and come on down and see us. Yeah,
and I think that the schedule is pretty hefty. I mean, there's something going on all the time. There's a tractor show toward the end of the week, right? So, and is that you and your rabbit?
It could be
little Chad Dunlap.
It would probably be black and white if it was mine, but yeah,
that's really great.
Some familiarity there.
Well, I think that the fair is a good opportunity for us to showcase our community. I've always been a little bit, because the fair comes before harvest, so my garden's just kind of blooming in the end of July and August, so it's kind of the timing is a little different that way.
Sure.
Is there a reason why that comes further, like earlier than a harvest? Because I'd want to show off a tomato or something like that. Is there some reason why that timing is like that?
Well, I think just guessing, I would think because the fair is composed of 4-H and FFA youth, it's a summer event, for those kids to show up for a week at a time. Obviously, they can't do that during school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest reason
Is
for
there
the timing
also
of it.
a state fair, like if someone is really showing and they have some success with their animal at the local level, then they go to state? So is there a date sensitive time frame there? Because the state fair is I'm not sure, later in August?
In August, yep. As you participate in shows as a 4-H member, you have the opportunity to take your project to the state fair, and that occurs in August. So, there's a time component involved there as
Right.
well.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, so I'm guessing that you have parents, because I know one of our rules that if you have a kid that's showing, you can't be on the fair board.
Right.
Just to keep that separate. So, but how else can parents get involved? Because I'm sure they are very involved with their kid and their animal. But are there other ways that they can? Or is there a volunteer group with the fair that if you're not necessarily participating on the board, but you can volunteer?
Yeah, volunteerism is a huge component of the fair, and it takes a lot of the burden off the fair board members to have to be at every single event and staff those things. We can rely on some of those volunteers to fill some of the roles where I would normally have to schedule in a fair board member for an event. I could plug in a volunteer, and we're not going to throw those people to the dogs or anything like that. And hey, you got this. This is on you. There's guidance involved, and it's a great way. If you don't have the time to devote to being a fair board member, it's a great opportunity for those people to still be involved in their community and highlight the youth of Montrose.
So how would if I wanted to volunteer, or someone listening to us wanted to volunteer, how would they do that and get connected?
Well, I think the biggest thing is so every November, the fair board breaks the fair down into 9 different committees, and they range anywhere from like the open show to the junior livestock sale. Take a look at those committees, and if one of those piques your interest, get on the website and reach out to us and let us know where your interests lie, or come to a fair board meeting and have a conversation with a fair board member, and we'll get those folks signed up.
Great, good. Well, so we hope that we get some people that might want to do that this year. It'd be really wonderful. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about the fair? How fun it is? How much? Anything that's unusual about our fair that is really cool that you'd like to share?
Well, like I said before, we try to make it diverse and try to make it as attractive for as many people as we can. Like I said, people's interests lie various places, but we try to have a diverse schedule and attractions. But it's a heavy lift, and it's it's a lot of work. But at the same time, it's very, very rewarding. You were talking earlier about 4-H and FFA kids. Their manners and their work ethic. Like if you want to see some top-notch youth from our community, come to the fair and watch these kids in action. Like, you talk about hard work, teamwork, unity, all those things.
Yep.
These kids are the best of the best, and I would stack them up against anybody.
Cool, that's great. Well, it's great for a fair board president to honor that and recognize that. And even when I've been at the fair, I don't think I've ever seen anybody checking their phone because they're busy washing down their animal. And like, look at this little girl. I mean, that animal outweighs her by quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure he could push her around, but. So let me just take a break there and thank you for joining me today to talk a little bit about the fair. I hope we can do it again before the fair date actually arrives so we can tell people exactly what's kind of happening and what's on the schedule. But just want to remind people that we started out talking about the boards. We do have a board open position on the Planning Commission, which is also a board that is a bit of a heavy lift, but for those people that understand zoning and subdivision regulations and really want to serve in that capacity, we have an opening on that board. We also have an opening for the Region 10 board, and then one other board, two on the Fair board. So we have two. So we have opportunities for people to get involved. And so when people, I mean, one of my frustrations is that people don't really understand what the county does, and that's what led to some of these opportunities to talk on podcasts to help educate people. But we're here. We do a lot of work. All those boards, there's practically any opportunity. If you're interested in water, we have a board for you. If you're interested in airplanes, we have a board for you. I mean, we kind of have it all here at the county. So I hope you find two really great Fair board members. Great group of people that are there now. We've got some new members now, and hopefully they'll bring new ideas, which is what part of the diversity you're talking about, new ideas, creative ways of doing something that we haven't done before. So even fairs have to evolve over time, right?
That's right.
So not the same thing that was happening in 1920 is not going on probably right now. So, but with the primary focus on kids, animals, and then how the responsibility for kids to take care of their animals. So those are the things that I think about when I think about the fair. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and I just thank you all for joining us on County Talk, where we uncover and look at the inner workings of the county. We consider them boring but important. And I'm Commissioner Sue Hansen, and until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you.